Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for the season finale of Into the Badlands, Wolf's Breath, Dragonfire. And this was a pretty good way to end the season. There was a nice balance of setting things up to come in the next season, while finishing out everything that's going on in this season with some cool action sequences too. So this episode starts off and we see Sonny getting to the fort and opening up the place that Waldo told him to, and getting all this old kind of clipper gear on and his old motorcycle too. While Quinn's also kind of like rallying the troops and everything to protect his family and all that, and talking about how Sonny's the greatest killer he's ever trained, and of course bringing it back to himself, pumping himself up. It's always about Quinn and his ego, which of course goes with his insanity. So, of course, we kind of get all that going on. We see Sonny going off for him. We also then get to the widow's place, seeing Waldo talking to the widow, asking if she had killed Tilda. And, of course, she's like, of course I didn't. What kind of mother do you think I'd be to do that? And, of course, berating her for making enemies of Sonny and Quinn, being like, those aren't really smart moves. And of course, he's like pretty much ready to go off, and she's like, well, don't you want to be a baron or whatnot? And it's like, what? Isn't that been your goal all along? I mean, not just to be a whisperer or a tired old man, but to actually lead. And he's like, I thought there was no place for barons in your new perfect world of free women and men and all that. And of course, she's like, well, someone wise told me not to burn it all down at once because you never know what will rise from the ashes. Of course, that being Waldo. She's kind of learned the game herself, because he doesn't know what she's become, but she's become like all the rest of the barons. And she's talking about how these people don't know how to be free and someone needs to show them. And of course that would be a baron. And it's like, as long as I'm like your puppet and everything, call it what you will. That's kind of like her offer and everything. It's like, okay, well, let's see how this goes. Of course, we're also seeing what's going on with Quinn continuing to get his troops ready and everything, and Lydia comes in pretty much trying to like take him down a peg, because he's been saying that our brother Gabriel gave his life and everything, and if you give your lives in this service, you'll all become gods and all that. And she's like, yeah, you're all Olympian gods and everything. He's rigged the whole place to explode and everything. But of course, he's got his cult so much that his other dude's like, if we are prepared to die for this, and whoever isn't doesn't deserve to live. And, of course, he's like, thank you for being my first wife and making me the man I am. Make her dig her own grave, and then slit her throat. And, of course, they take her off. It's like, holy shit. This is going to get intense. So, then we get to see kind of what's going on with MK. Because the widow's talking to MK, pretty much trying to, like, lure him to her side. Because evidently she believes that they're both needed for the whole thing to get their gifts back. Giving this whole story about a ghost orchid and all that, and what all people would go to see it because of how rare it is. But what we had was more special and everything. And she's pretty much trying to take down Baji in front of him. And he's like, what did you do with Baji? And of course they bring Baji in. She's like, he's the one who left me off. He only came back for me for the book. And he's like, no, I didn't. And she's like, you bent to the master's will. And he's like, I came back and I used my gift to come and get you. And it's like, hey, why did he go to the monastery to get the cure for Sonny, or to get the compass? And of course MK gets pissed off with that and tries to hit him with that and storms off. And that's kind of where it's left off. So then we kind of see where everything's kind of like gelling together. We see that Lydia is pretty much digging her grave, and the one dude's like, alright, that's deep enough, and here's something to ease you along. It's a little idol from her little cult and everything. And instead she drops it, takes the shovel, knocks one dude down, knocks the other one down, and uses it to take the one dude's head in. Of course, the one dude starts chasing after her, and then we see Sonny come out of nowhere and throw his kind of like dagger at him right in his head, and it was like perfect. Boom! And he just comes up real cool, freaking takes it and kicks the body off. And then, of course, Lydia and Sonny get into it. And, of course, she's like, you'll be crazy to go into there. He's got it all rigged to explode. He's like, I gotta go save my family. And she's like, listen, you're going in there. It's Quinn's own personal helmet. It's completely screwed up. Just watch yourself. Be careful. And, of course, he gives her the dagger that he used to kill the one dude. And he's like, just in case. And, of course, leaves her, but she's kind of coming to her own throughout this season. And now, granted, she doesn't have the prowess of, like, the most badass martial artist, but she can take care of herself. We've seen her go from just being able to scheme to being able to scheme and execute and, like, defend herself. It's really kind of cool to see where Lydia is right now and what kind of roles she could possibly be playing next season. So while Sunny's getting ready to go there, we find that Tilda is lying on a mattress in a cell, wakes up and pukes out blood, and is wondering, I'm alive, where am I? And he's like, well, you're in the Widow's dungeon. And of course she's kind of lamenting the fact that she didn't think that the Widow would hurt her like that. And of course she's not like the Widow that the one that Tilda has had in her head throughout, like, the first season and this season. She's completely changed. And of course, then we see a guard come in and tries to give her food, and she's like, listen, I'm gonna mess up, can you bring it closer? He's like, well, I guess you're not eating then. And Baji's like, that was a shitty attempt to try and get him, and it's like, shut up. And then, of course, we hear a commotion, and Odessa comes in to free Tilda. And, of course, Tilda wants to free MK as well, and Odessa's like, he's evil, he's killed all his cogs, screw that. And, of course, Baji, who has the book with him, of course, because he's translating it for the Widow, says, I kind of agree with your Weasley friend here. She's most likely with the Widow, and the only person who could take out the Widow is Sunny. And he's on a suicide mission, so that's kind of where that is. Tilda's like, well, then we're going to go help Sunny and all that. And gets Baji out, and they kind of go on their way. And, of course, they're getting out through. They find a truck, and, like, Baji's like, all right, my mom taught me this. You're done in a sec. Hot wires the car. I was like, yeah. But then a guard comes up, doesn't recognize him, is wondering what they're doing, and Walter comes in and says, these cogs are on a special mission. You can tell the Widow why you're holding them up and disobeying direct orders. And he's like, goes off. And Waldo, of course, is like letting him go and all that. And tells us, like, come with us, Waldo. And he's like, you take care of Tinkerbell. And I like how he gives kind of nicknames to people like that. And I'm interested to see where his part's going to be throughout, like, the next season, because he's a very interesting character. He is a survivor, but he does try and do what's right, and especially by people that he knows well. Like what he did with Sunny and what he's done with Tilda. He could be one pretty much almost Littlefinger-like. Not as devious, of course, but kind of behind everything, being like, you know what? It'll be good to be with the Widow. Have her take everything out and be the target. Have her go down, and he become kind of like the overhead baron for the Badlands. That's kind of cool, kind of like things that we could see, but they might just kind of leave him as like Waldo for now. That's just where I would hope that they could take it. So, of course, they kind of leave. We also get to see MK and the Widow and kind of like their final part. And, of course, the Widow's still trying to butter him up, and he's just like, just cut through the bullshit. I don't want my gift back. And she's like, all right, then you're not leaving here until I get what I want. And he's like, you know, if I get my gift back, I'm going to kill you. And she's like, I'm willing to take that risk. But if you don't kill me, you're mine. You know, pretty much. It's like, that's where they're ended off. It's like, this is an interesting place to have MK and the Widow. Because MK has grown into his own throughout these 2 seasons. From kind of like the person who has a power and is able to like defend himself, to someone who doesn't have that gift but is still able to defend himself and hopefully could become kind of a really kick-ass character, even more so as we develop him throughout like season 3 and onward. So that's kind of where he's left off, kind of in a shitty situation being like the Widow's prisoner. Then we get to see all the cool stuff that's going on at like Quinn's part, because we get a little part where Baji, of course, leaves Odessa and Tilda. He tells Odessa to take care of Tilda and all that as they drive off, and Baji goes towards Quinn's place. We see that Sunny has gotten in, goes into the bunker, and is met with all of Quinn's troops with flaming crossbows. And Quinn is also standing there with Henry and tells him, just leave. Leave us in peace. They're not your family anymore. They're mine. And of course, Sunny and playing that, we get this cool scene of him like deflecting flaming arrows and everything. Also getting hit like 2 times, but cartwheeling out and everything. And he takes one arrow out, and then Quinn picks up a crossbow and shoots explosives and takes the tunnel down onto Sunny. And of course, like, crap. But of course, Baji comes in, drags him out, says, "You look like dog shit," and says, "I'm trying to help you." And he's like, "Well, what about MK?" Couldn't get him out. And of course, he's got the book and the compass now, so it's like, what's going on with that? We'll have to see how that goes on. And he's like, "Listen, leave me, this is my fight." He's like, I've been curious. I always wanted to see a man die alone and all that. Let's die alone together. So all these guys come in with all these swords and everything, and they go at him. Then we get to the point where we see this head rolling into these other guys, and we get this really fucking cool action sequence that just shows the awesome prowess of Sunny and Baji. And it's really cool to see their different styles, because Sunny is the lithe killer, and Baji is more of the kind of Po kind of character from Kung Fu Panda. I.e., you wouldn't believe that at first he would be able to do what he does, but he's able to use people's emotions and movements against them and be able to take some punishment while then dishing it back out. Because you just see Sunny going at it with his sword, cutting this dude's arm off, cutting these other two guys' legs off, and then you just see Baji kind of using himself, taking two guys out with one swipe, getting like these nunchucks and just screwing people up. And we get to see a kind of scene reminiscent from like Kill Bill, where the bride's like spinning down on the floor, or Sunny's doing it and just taking out all these people. And it's like, dude, you're gonna need more bad guys from the bad guys store, because they are just taking everybody the fuck out. And he's just like cutting like two people's heads off at once. Baji just using nunchucks deadly efficiently, and it's just really fucking awesome. And it's really, I gotta hand it to this show. It knows how to do clear action scenes. And I know some people like it with the like jumble camera and all that, and I mean, that helps. But if you can't tell what's going on, you kind of miss the awesomeness of everything. Here you can see flowing from like one thing to another, like Sunny going and taking out people's arms, legs, heads, and all that. Baji where he's hitting and taking people out. It's just so well done. So of course, Quinn had come in and locked eyes with Vale and then like left beforehand, and Vale is like pretty much sure that Sunny's dead. Then of course Sunny comes in and we get a really cool reunion with them. He kicks in the door, they're like kissing and like embracing and everything, and this one dude, of course, that had pretty much the one that said the stuff about, "Oh yeah, we're ready to die for this, and whoever isn't deserves to die." And then Baji comes in and tackles him. It's like, "Oh, hi, I'm Baji." And it's like, yay, effectiveness. Effective introduction for Baji. And of course, they, "Alright, go and get Henry and everything. I got this." And he's like, "Hey, she's cute. Alright, I'm Baji. Bye. Hi." All that stuff. And they kind of like leave. And then we get this cool action scene of Baji taking this dude out, throwing up against this wall and everything. And of course, Baji gets like kicked into a window and has to use some glass to cut the dude's throat, but he gets taken in the side by the scissors that he was using. He's lamenting the fact, he's like, "Scissors, what a shit way to go," and everything. I'm like, "I still gotta save the world." And he's sitting in the chair, and that's kind of where we're left with him at the moment. Of course, they get up top to where Quinn is with Henry, and he of course throws this switch to throw off explosives that doesn't hurt anybody, and we start the final battle between Sunny and Quinn, which is pretty well done. And it's pretty effective because you can see Quinn, of course, was the guy that trained Sunny, so they've got similar move styles, but they're both fighting for different reasons. Quinn's kind of insane and, of course, unpredictable. Sunny is just so because he's fighting to protect and get his family out of there. So they start doing all this stuff and, like, kicking this table out of the way, and then going, down because Quinn's taken his swords out and is using Sai at this one point, and he's able to get a few hits on Sunny while, of course, Vale's trying to escape. He throws one to the side to, like, knock her foot out and have her fall down, and, of course, he's, like, going over after her, and Sunny takes his sword and throws it, and it goes through Quinn's chest. Now, the only thing is, Quinn takes a lot of damage in this fight, and it's still kind of ticking, but it still kind of works within the framework because he's probably running on adrenaline and insanity at this point. So he goes a little bit Jason / Michael Myers kind of at this point, but it still does pretty well. Of course, Sunny goes, pulls it out. They continue their fight and everything on this one kind of like concrete column. And Sunny like does a backward stab into his stomach. It's like, dead. Okay, you sure he's dead? And of course, Vale's introducing him to Henry and all that. And he's like, where's Baji? Baji? And we don't see Baji in the chair anymore. So, okay. So, of course, they're trying to leave. And Quinn grabs Vale. And he's like, you give me Henry, I give you Vale. You're not leaving with both of them. And of course, Vale's like, take Henry and go. And she takes the side that he's holding to her, and she pushes it through herself and kills Quinn. And this sucks, but it's really effective for her character arc, because we've seen her growing stronger and stronger, and she has chosen to sacrifice herself for the man that she loves and her son. And I think it's actually kind of poetic that she's the one to take out Quinn. I mean, granted, they both take him out, but she's the one to get the death blow on him to free herself from him forever. And, of course, Sunny is breaking down, and she asks him to teach him to be a good man and all that, and he's like, I will, and all that. And it's really kind of effective seeing Sunny kind of lose this, but also kind of gain his son and have this kind of new purpose. And, of course, he buries her and kind of has his sword and walks off into the sun with Henry. While this is going on, we then see that Baji has taken the motorcycle that Sunny had and is driven to this turret that has all this kind of mechanical stuff in it. And he's using the compass and the book to turn everything on, and it sends out this Morse code thing. And what I'm thinking is Azra could be this kind of bunker place, and he's like, oh, Azra, and then I think this is where Baji dies. I only say thinks because you never know what could happen in the show. We thought Quinn was dead at the end of season 1, but I think he's pretty much dead here now because his cancer's advanced to a stage that it's probably got more cancer than brain at this point. He has sustained at least 3 fatal wounds, blood-wise. But hey, you never know. There could be some kind of weird thing, and we could get Quinn again. I'd hope not, because this is a pretty effective end to the character with his insanity and everything, and I'd really like it to be kind of this. Baji, on the other hand, is still an effective end, but we don't know for sure. It looks like he's dead. We'll have to see. But it leaves that Morse code's pulsing out, so we'll have to see what's going on with that, how this pertains to Azra, how the gift is linked to Azra and all that kind of stuff in the next season. So it opens up more questions, but we've got good answers for what we've been going through for this season, and I can't wait till we get season 3. So those are my opinions on the episode. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.